Hey girls, Maria Menounos here, author of the Every Girl's Guide to Life. Want to know my best tips and secrets for organization, travel, weight loss, beauty, fashion, and everything else in between? Go to bing.com/Maria and pick up my new book, The Every Girl's Guide to Life.
You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, King Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, and streaming live on Ustream, this is AfterBuzz TV for Game of Thrones. Tonight's host is Bethany Jaber. Joining Bethany will be AfterBuzz co-hosts Nathan Hertz, Curtis Taylor, and Sarah Stratton. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest Game of Thrones news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, picking up where the show leaves off and the buzz continues, Bethany Jaber.
Hello, and welcome. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers. Happy Father's Day to you, Curtis.
Thank you.
And all the fathers out there. I hope you had a wonderful Father's Day. And then I hope you got to see Game of Thrones, because this was our grand finale, our final episode of season 1. And a lot happened. Sarah and I were stressed out last week because we were afraid that Ned Stark was dead. And surprise, he is.
See, I thought you guys were stressed out because I wasn't here.
No, sorry. Well, that too. Yes, it was a little bit of both. But we were shocked last week, and we're going, no, it's not possible. To the point where I ran home and opened up my book and read ahead.
Really? Really?
Yeah, I did. I read ahead because I was like, this is impossible. It can't be dead. A cheat or just a very curious individual.
Is that how you call that when you were in school?
I
was just very curious, teacher, so
I gained more knowledge. Yeah.
I looked at the other person's paper.
No. I think reading a book is hardly looking at another person's paper. But we ended where we left off last week, which is kind of in this courtyard area, and Ned has just been beheaded, and the sword, Ice, which is his sword, is bloody. And this gentleman takes Arya, and is calling her come here, boy, which is, I feel like one of your predictions ages ago, that she was going to be like a boy warrior, and disguise herself, which lined up very nicely. Bravo, Curtis.
Well, I try, but it does. It's one of those interesting things where throughout the episodes they have been calling her a boy a lot of times, and then she takes the mannerisms of a boy, and now it's interesting that it's that dimension that sets her free, basically. He cuts her hair, and then she walks away.
Yep, pretty much
out of the kingdom. So it's a pretty good thing. I'm excited about. I'm actually excited about Arya, because I really love Arya and her character, and I'm excited about her growing up and becoming this warrior, because she's not clear. She's clearly one of the stronger Starks, even.
I would agree.
She's a very strong character that I'm excited about seeing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to her being reunited with the rest of her family.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I believe. My personal belief. I'm an Arya fan, and I have a personal belief about Arya. Arya won't, she won't reunite with her family until she becomes a woman. Or becomes
really?
I honestly believe that.
Wow,
she's going to have her own journey.
Okay,
and she's going to come back, and she's going to be this strong warrior type woman.
Years
and they won't even recognize her. And the only thing that's going to connect her to the Starks is that she's still going to have that sword.
Okay.
That's my prediction. I didn't read ahead. I
I love it though. I love it.
I just
Great.
feel that.
I love that.
She's gonna be like, this is me, and she's gonna pull out this little sword, and they're like, that's the sword that father
That's
gave
great.
me.
It's a great. Even if it doesn't happen, I kind
That's
of want
great.
it to now.
It's just my acting thing.
Yeah. Here, like
Imagination.
I'm going ahead
Yeah, I
and
went ahead
imagining
and-
this world,
exactly.
and it's beautiful and perfect.
Absolutely.
I want to talk about the Starks for a little bit.
Okay.
Because then let's go to Sansa right now, because Joffrey is just awful. He's hideous. He went from being this like whiny pouty kid to a whiny pouty kid with a lot of power.
Yeah.
And almost like I can't call him a sociopath because he enjoys watching he's really enjoying it. So I mean I don't know what the mental diagnosis would be. Power hungry brat.
Well, it's one of those things. It's one of those things that happens when you inbreed. When you inbreed, it makes him crazy. No, and he's completely crazy.
He's crazy. I mean,
Yeah,
you can see that his mother was clearly surprised when he declared that it was going to be beheaded, and so he's
wild ass on the loose.
Yeah, he takes up this like pauper musician and makes him come to the castle, and he's like, haha, your songs are very funny. What do you prefer, your fingers or your tongue?
That's crazy. What a debate. What a debate. I mean, could you imagine someone saying that?
What would you prefer?
What would I prefer? I would like to keep my tongue.
Yeah.
I would like to keep my tongue. What about you?
I can't decide.
See, I would take my tongue. Reason being is because I like to talk. I mean, you couldn't even be a host if you didn't have a tongue, but I can go like this all day long.
Yeah, but if we're living in that world,
I still would need my tongue.
You're gonna need you're gonna really need your fingers if you're like, you don't have electricity. You don't need to. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I mean, as you can see, Tyrion, his name Tyrion, right? The little Tyrion. As you can see, he's at a disadvantage.
He is.
But because he has a tongue and he has his brain, he's at an advantage.
True. He also has lots of money.
Yeah, well, I mean, but it hasn't been his money that saved him a lot of times.
Yeah.
It's been his thought and being able to speak. So,
okay.
If I learned anything from him, it would be.
I would say
tongue.
sorry.
I would keep
to
my
interrupt
tongue.
you.
No.
I think Tyrion's twofold though.
Yeah.
Because I think he wins it with his wit, but like part of his wit is offering his money. Yeah. It's but so we're at the Starks, and so Joffrey's kind of going nuts. He basically is like, I won't hit you, but my people can.
No, it's good. A king is not supposed to. Mother says king is not supposed to hit you, but have someone else to do it.
And so when he has the other person do it, I can't remember his name right now. The burnt victim guy. What is his name?
The burn on his face.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
We're just gonna call him the man with the burn on his face. I know he has an actual name.
Sarah's a statistician. She knows all the names, and she's not
I
here.
feel like I'm getting better.
Are you? Still.
But I can't remember his name for the life of me. I know he has a brother, and that they're not
I
so nice.
used to know his name, but I've been gone, unfortunately, for about 2 weeks.
But what I find interesting is that she's considering pushing Joffrey off of this little ledge when Joffrey goes, there's your father's head. Look at it for as long as I ask. And the man with the burnt face doesn't rat her out.
No.
He doesn't, and I think that's interesting. Like,
well, it's one of those things like, at least for me, I think he has a motive.
Yeah.
Actually, everyone, it's called the Game of Thrones. So it's like even people that are not in position to become king are playing their hands in a way where it's like chess.
Yeah.
Because they don't like even we're going to talk about Khaleesi, but even her handler, the guy that's under her, he played his position to the point where he chose Khaleesi over her brother because he understood which one was going to be.
It's so interesting to live in a world where the power that somebody else has dictates what happens with you.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that happens today. I
President of the United States.
Yeah, I mean, in corporations and on Wall Street, and at movie studios, and just about every job.
Except in your world.
But I feel like it doesn't happen ever.
Yeah, because you're an actress. It doesn't happen in your world.
Like when does?
Yeah, it doesn't happen. That's the beauty of what we do. It doesn't really happen in our world anymore. So you kind of like well, you know, I'm the boss and I control. If I decide I want to go to work today, then I wake up. And then I try to find.
I can't fathom that somebody. But yeah, you're right. Everybody is gaming.
Yeah, a lot of viewers are like, I do that every day.
I know. They're probably like, you're a crazy person. How does that?
This girl has no attachment of reality and what's going on.
No, I've just been.
No, it happens. It happens
really
all the time.
time.
Yeah, exactly. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
So I can imagine it. I haven't been acting as long as you have. I was in corporate America, so I do remember.
So
I
you're
do
like,
remember the old ball and chain.
But
the memory's kind of fading a little bit. But yeah, it happens a lot. It happens a lot to be controlled by someone else's. You know, your essential livelihood
it depends on somebody else.
Depends on what someone else. You know, if they say, hey, you know, Bethany, today's not working out for you, we're going to have to let you go. And it's like crazy. You're like, wow, I got kids, I got bills, and they don't really care. Wow. Yeah, it happens. It happens. Unfortunately, it happens. And
I believe it.
Happens there. So I believe it. It's crazy. People are like, she has no idea. Like, she's like, oh, wow, I really believe it.
No.
She's a child. She's a child star. You know?
No.
Google
but
her.
let's go to I'm some Lady Stark right now, because we kind of get to see them.
Oh, here we go.
We don't get to see the moment in which they discover the news.
No.
Which would have been interesting from an acting standpoint. It would have just been, we cut to, they've just been told and they're grieving. Yeah. I wouldn't have minded.
I know. I would have loved to see the shock, because to me as an actor, the transition. See, we didn't get a chance to see the transitional form. It was more or less like cut and then action, and she's like walking through this, and she's like crying. It's almost like, you know, you can get that, but to like go from a happy state to a state of shock, and then go from there to pain, and then from there to grieving. I agree.
And I feel like if this was like a 24 episode series, they would have included those things. But because we only got 10 episodes out of this, they kind of like
they had to cut something.
They had to cut back a little bit. Yeah. But it would have been nice to like kind of endure that irony for a little bit. But
absolutely.
But we see Robb slicing a tree. and I love it that the first thing she says to him is, Robb,
you're ruining your sword.
You've ruined your sword.
Yeah, like okay, I don't care. I don't care about my sword.
What is that? What does
it
that
might
mean?
have been.
What's the deeper meaning there?
I don't know. Maybe our viewers know. Our viewers may know this, because I didn't really pay attention to his sword. It might have been a gift.
Okay.
Might have been a gift from his father. Because he seems to like he gave Arya, her sword. So maybe that was the thing that he gave his young children when they became of age and they started to venture out. He'd give them a sword, and then they'd probably take that sword and get a bigger one and bigger one. It probably starts from there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do know back then their swords had names to them, and they loved them and they cherished them. And a warrior without a sword is not a warrior.
And we also live in a time right now where like swords are like, huh? Like imagine if somebody like walked into a shopping mall with a sword.
I know.
You'd be like, what? And like here in this kind of
realm, he's like, hey, this is Bertha.
Yeah, and like everybody's like, of course, that's Bertha. And this is Ice.
Exactly.
It makes
say hi, Ice.
It makes sense. Yeah. But if we were to walk around and do that right now, he'd be like, they're crazy.
Who do you think has the nicest? I mean,
who has the nicest sword?
Yeah. Who has the nicest sword?
I mean, I think Ice is the nicest sword, right? And that's Ned Stark's sword. Is Ice.
You think so?
It's made of like
who has it?
Valerian steel. I don't know who has it now. I think he was beheaded with it.
I really like Jon Snow's. I was looking at his sword. He has the
with the dire wolf.
The dire wolf.
Yes,
on
you
it.
missed that episode
amazing.
where like the head of the Watchman gave him his like the family sword, and they redid it with a dire wolf on the top of it.
I like that sword. I think that's
cool.
really nice.
It is a nice
it's
sword.
Like having a Smith and Wesson, and it's like so nice handle.
It is a beautiful sword.
It was nice.
Yeah, and so then we move on a little bit more, and all of the men are kind of. I guess they're meeting. They've had their dinner. They're with Robb, and his mother, and they declare him the king of the North. And we were
Absolutely.
talking about this a minute ago, and you were saying, well, that means he's king.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, so I'm curious. I mean, clearly they still have to fight anybody else. I mean, everybody else. I
Yeah.
mean, they declare. So,
Well, he's not king of the seven realms, but he's definitely
king of the North.
He's king of the North.
But he's going to be king of the 7 realms. Is kind of what they're pushing for.
Yeah, they're absolutely, because if he defeats the Lannisters and so forth, then he's, which is the father. He's pretty much over the rest of the realms, per se, or he has them in his bosom because his daughter actually actually his daughter's son actually is king.
Yeah.
So
So,
yeah, if Robert actually destroys the Lannisters, and he's pretty much got the kingdoms.
Well, I think he has to do the Lannisters, but there's also
Tyrion.
they're both named Robert. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
The old King Robert's
Which was
brothers.
named-
So Stannis and Renly, Riley, something.
Yeah.
It begins with an R. But those two are both kind of. We haven't seen them yet. We haven't.
Well, we seen them earlier. We seen the brothers. One of them, you remember, one is he's gay and he sleeps with. No, he does. He sleeps with You remember he slept with the it's the guy that
that was shaving his chest.
No, the one. Yeah, exactly. I was shaving his chest. The knight, the joust.
I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And
so
he
we
told
have
him he
seen
should
them.
be king. You remember he told him he should be king.
Yeah.
He said, "I would follow you." The knight said that.
Ah.
So we've seen him.
Yeah.
And then he was a part of the.
But he has to fight them too,
Yeah, he
basically.
has to fight them
so
too.
there's
Yeah.
and now we have like Khaleesi and the dragon. So
Yeah.
that's there. So Rob's got a lot to do.
Yeah, he definitely. I'm
do.
sorry, not to cut you off, but he's one of the. They crowned him king of the North, but and that's because Robert, the main king, is dead. So it's pretty
Yeah.
much chaos anyway. It's like a how should I say, like a mafia boss, and then all of
Yeah.
a sudden he dies, and then you got all these demi bosses
Who
that
are
are trying to vie
trying
to
to-
become
Yeah.
the kingpin.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's happening at
there's
this
a
point.
lot of-
Everyone's king. But Rob has the biggest army, and he's winning.
He's winning.
So at this particular point, because he's winning, he has the most power. He's in a
Yeah.
power chair at this point.
I would agree
So,
with you.
so now the game has begun.
I was thrilled when Lady Stark got to talk to Jaime a
Yeah.
little bit, and she gave him a good like headbang with
Yeah.
that rock, and he actually tells her what happened.
Yeah, I think he's trying to provoke her,
Yeah.
but it's interesting that he kept the real secret to himself.
Because I feel like that's some what's the word that I'm looking for? It's some pull. Like, I mean, the more information,
It's freeing as well.
well, it's freeing if you don't have anything to lose.
No, I'm saying it's
Yeah.
freeing and he doesn't want to release her mind.
No.
It's a freeing thing. Like if you tell her what exactly happened,
Yeah.
it's closure. And at that
Yeah.
point, there's no reason
Yeah.
to keep you alive. You see what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where she would keep him alive just based on, because he's actually scared. He's trying to front like he's not,
I know.
but he's really scared. And she
He's
knows
terrified.
it. But the thing is that he's still playing the game, and he's not going to release her.
No, he needs that information.
Yeah, he needs it.
He
definitely
needs it to keep. And the rest of the kingdom doesn't need to know that Cersei and him are kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that would be really good for their
It'll unravel.
their
It'll unravel.
PR.
Exactly.
Yeah, like not only is this young king out of control, but the queen's been sleeping with the hand of the king,
her brother.
who is her twin brother. I mean, I think that would kind of send people into an uproar.
Well, they'll start to question. They'll start to really dive into and say, "Wait a minute, the king doesn't really look like Rob." I mean, it could get to the point where you start to question who's in leadership, who's in the leadership position.
I mean, a congressman sends pictures of his penis, and then everybody's like, "You need to go."
Exactly.
So yeah, there
So you
needs there
start to
are
question.
like moral and ethical frameworks that
Yeah.
exist.
And I like to
that-
think that even back then they had it.
Yeah.
They definitely had it.
It's back. I love that we're like back then in the magical land.
Yeah, exactly. Back then in the magic, because it's like history. Like it's like history, but it's not.
It is.
It's like Lord of the Rings is like history, but it's not.
Mind.
Yeah.
It's just kind of madness. So this is what's happening with the Starks. But for the Lannisters, you know, Jaime's captive. Cersei hasn't found out yet. We haven't seen that episode where that did not happen.
Found out which part?
That Jaime's been captured. She doesn't know yet, does she? Because I don't.
It's one of those things you have to know. I just don't think it really concerns her at this point. What concerns her is ruling the throne with her son. Because as you see, she's nasty. I mean, Cersei's nasty. She's really nasty.
She's sleeping with her cousin now.
Yeah.
What is up with that?
Yeah, she's nasty. I mean, she's as nasty as they come. You know, like she sleeps with her twin brother. She's sleeping with her cousin. I mean, who is this woman not sleeping with?
She's so afraid to go outside of her family or do anything outside of her family that she gets all of her needs met through them.
Yeah,
literally.
It's nasty.
It's really quite. Yeah, it's disgusting. But that was a huge surprise because I was like,
I know. It's like, who is that? It's the little nephew.
I know. We
cousin.
were like, who is he? Wait, no.
Yeah, he's like, wow. And he's walking around. He's a little boy, and she's like, go back to bed. Take your clothes off. Well, continue to keep your clothes off.
And go back to bed. So that was
bit of a
I don't know. It wasn't
thing.
Special, but it was just it just continues. Cersei continues to
never amaze me.
Yes, it's just
that was a shivering moment, like ooh, like one of those things.
Yeah, and then we go to Lord Snow, and he tries to like escape the wall because he's gonna go join his brother
John.
Yeah, and because his father's been killed, which I feel like is the noble thing to do. It makes sense.
Absolutely.
But you know, he gets halfway, not even halfway, like a few miles out. And his like brothers of the Night Watch come get him. What did you think of that?
It was a bit cliche kind of for me.
Yeah.
You know, he has all this anger. First he has all this rage and anger, and he's like, I'm going to go to my brothers, and then they, you know, and then one of the they're coming after him, and he's riding, and he's ducking under these tree limbs.
Yeah.
And then one of them hits the tree limb, and then all of a sudden he goes back.
Sam,
and then the cliche part about it is they're like, we're brothers, and you know, I'm not going to let you go, and you know, you forgot the
I don't know if that would keep me. Would that keep you?
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like cliche because you're not going to say a quote or you're not going to say an anthem, and all of a sudden I'm like,
Bethany, I know.
You know, yeah, my father's dead. My anthem's more stronger. I'm going back.
Curtis, I'm going to sing to you, and after this song, you're going to be inspired to come back and fight the night.
You're
going
to forget about your family dying and all. Yeah, that was cliche to me. That was the most
my
like
words
out of all.
Will inspire.
Yeah, exactly. That was the only time I've ever watched Game of Thrones, and I was like, really?
I agree.
Really?
And we have such shining moments in this series that when something like that happens, we're like, oh wait, that's not cool. That's
your mother's
really
dead.
I know.
Will you come back and be with me? Will you do this? And like,
we are brothers, and we fight together forever.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. I'll come back, guys.
My country tis. No, it's not.
No. I guess not.
No.
So, my goodness, so much is happening. What I find fascinating about each episode is like 2 episodes ago, I was like, oh my God, the Lannisters got this thing down. It's theirs. And then the next episode, I thought, oh, looks like the Starks just won that battle. It's totally, and I was thinking that up until the very end of this episode, where Khaleesi comes out with some dragons, and I'm like, nope, she's got it now. She's got it.
That's why it's called the Game of Thrones.
I know.
Because the game is being played, and you're like, okay, this is the one. You sunk my battleship, and all of a sudden, there's another ball in someone else's court, or someone else has a better hand than the other one. So it's like, you know, you never know who's going to win. That's what makes it very interesting about this. And I'm crushed that this was the last episode for this season. And we got to wait until 2012.
Or you can read the book.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how to read.
You don't want to read it?
I don't know how to read.
Yeah.
No, it's just one of those things, you know. Bookstores are even closing. People don't want to read. People want to see stuff.
They're closing because everybody has a Kindle and an iPad.
Absolutely, and well, not even
That's
that. People
why.
are like,
I love my Kindle.
People, exactly. I love my Kindle. It's crazy. Like people don't really want to dive into books.
I'm gonna do it. I'm totally now. I'm hooked. I am absolutely hooked. I started this series, not just watching it, and then I couldn't wait 7 days to find out what happened next, and so I'm gonna commit to the next book.
I just don't want. My thing is, I'm going to watch it after. Because listen to it or read it after.
Read it after you've seen it. So you're going to read the first book now.
Yeah, because the reason being is because I don't want my judgments to be clouded by what I know.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I don't know how you guys do it. I don't know how you guys do it. You guys don't pick this apart? Like you haven't that was supposed to happen. That didn't happen because in the book it said this. This was the very
first episode that I had read ahead.
Okay.
This was the very first one where I kind of was like, okay, and it's very well done, I have to say. Yeah. We're watching Tywin and Tyrion right now have their conversation. So let's talk about that because it was really interesting. I felt like Tywin, the father, for the first time, I mean, he acknowledges his dwarf son, but he also acknowledges him because he realized that his son's gone.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, he's gone. Like he had his moment of like anger and grief, and then he was like, all right, let's move on.
Yeah.
Like, what can I do now? And it was like that was pretty quick.
Well, it was one of those things where for me it was like Tyrion began to realize that he needed Tyrion. Like he needed him.
Tywin needed
Tyrion needed Tyrion.
I know.
Tyrion needed Tyrion. Tyrion needed Tyrion. The father needed the son.
Yeah, we'll stick with father and son. I get confused too. I'm like,
The father needed the son. And he realized that he no longer had Jaime, his preferred son.
Yeah.
At his his feet to talk to.
Yeah.
And he realized how smart. It's amazing. Like when you cut off one hand, you realize the other hand really works. Like it's one of those things. Like
true.
You're using your right hand all the time, and then you lose your right hand, and you realize I have a left hand. You start to use things with your left hand, whereas when you're right-handed, you barely use your left.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what the situation is. His right hand got cut off, which is Jaime, and then now he realizes I have a left hand.
And it's actually stronger because he was listening to some of the things that he said.
Yeah.
He knocks the glass to the table and he says, "Really? I mean, trying to fix this is like trying to drink out of that glass right now. You know, Joffrey really screwed up, and he did.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, I mean,
no, there's no negotiating. There's no negotiating that. I mean, what are you gonna say?
There's no coming back.
Exactly.
From it.
Excuse me. I murdered your father. Got his head cut off. But I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Sorry. Can I keep my kingdom? I want to keep my throne.
And can I have my son back? It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
No, it's I'm very
life for life. That's the way it's gonna work.
I think so, and I'm curious as to if the imp will be able to get Joffrey under control.
Didn't he used to bully him, right? Or he used to like in the beginning. Well, in the beginning, he used to give the Joffrey a hard time.
Yeah.
And he said something like in the beginning that it was going to become useful for him.
Yes.
About how he ordered the Joffrey around. So I think it's one of those things where he, there's a principle where you say train a child up in the way he should go and he shall not depart from it. It's a biblical principle. And I think Tyrion.
Yeah.
Tyrion.
The imp. Tyrion.
The imp. Yeah. He actually was the one that trained Joffrey. Like he always listened. Joffrey always listened to him. Always had to, because if anybody could talk to him in such a way, like in a brutal way, it would be him, because he can refer back to memory.
Okay.
I remember he was the one that told me how to do this, and I had to do it. Okay. So now that I'm older,
I hope
it's like
he listens.
you're like, it's like a parent. You know how parents, you tell your children do this, do this, do this, and then when they get older, even still, your mother still can tell you
what to do.
Yeah, what to do, and you're gonna do it. And you're like a lot of kids are like 6'5", 200 pounds, or 250 pounds, and their mother still can grab him by the ear and say, "Get over here, boy." And he's like, and she's like 5'6", and
Well, I hope so, because he doesn't feel that way about Cersei.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Not at all.
But she was the little, whatever you want type of thing, and he wasn't.
No. I'm sorry, I strayed because we were talking about Khaleesi, and I love that it's on this video monitor because it just reminds me that we go back to it. Khaleesi realizes she's made a huge mistake in trusting this witch or trusting her husband to this witch, because she's basically destroyed everything that they have, including him, which is so sad because the whole entire time everybody was like, no, Khaleesi, don't do it. Don't trust, don't let her heal Drogo. Yeah. And Khaleesi was like, no, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. And it's like, I feel like it's one of those things where something really awful has to happen for something really good to be born. Yeah. So they basically lose the entire tribe. Yeah. Drogo is dead. And she walks through this fire and is unscathed.
Yeah. Well, we knew that she was, she was the girl, like she was the business. We knew that when she put her hands on the dragon eggs and didn't burn. Yeah. What's interesting to me, like I wasn't here last week, but what's interesting is that she made a huge mistake. Not only did it kill her husband, it pretty much just dismembered or dismantled the tribe. Yeah. The Targaryens were very, very powerful, the horse tribe. And because she made this bad decision and taking this witch, she permeated the entire tribe. And then she sees her husband, who was this most powerful guy, who, from what you told me, that because he trusted his wife, he looked kind of soft to his people.
He looked soft. Yeah. Absolutely.
And then they wanted to fight. And then he had to fight for his honor, or fight for her honor and fight for his power, and ended up getting cut or whatnot.
Yeah, he got a little cut, and the witch doctor went to heal it, and it's it got infected, and then
this one right here.
And then she said, heal him more, and so she called on the spirits of the dead. They try to kill his horse, a life for a life.
It was a trick. It was a trick by this witch.
It was totally a trick, because it ended up taking the life of her child. Yeah. And he ended up being in this crazy catatonic state, and now he's gone. And it was, I have to say, when she first appeared in the series, I was like, I wasn't sure where this actress was going.
Which one? The witch?
Khaleesi.
Oh, Khaleesi.
But after her last few performances, I now see the arc. I was like, oh, this is who you really are. Yeah. It just took me a while to get there, because I saw this strong woman the whole time, and I was like, I don't know if I'm buying the quiet act. I don't know if I'm buying it. But now that she's leading with her strength, I love the work that she's doing. What do you think?
Yeah, well, she clearly didn't, in the beginning, she clearly didn't know who she was.
Yes.
And then, so her silence was based on her not understanding her charge, basically, what she was supposed to be, and how powerful she was. So that's her quietness, and then her actually being attached to Drogo. For me, it seems like he brought her out of her shell. Yeah. Because here's this big, powerful warrior. And then he draws her out of her shell, and she grows to love someone. And then now she's becoming more than just a Khaleesi. She's going to lead this particular tribe, which to me, I don't know about you, but anybody got dragons on their back and they got dragons on their side, I would want to be a part of their tribe.
Right?
If you can walk through fire and everyone else can't.
I'm just really curious as to, the production did a great job with the dragons. They really did. Yeah. It's not an easy thing to do. Yeah. But it was very Birth of Venus, where she's in the shell and the hair. It was, I was like, is this Birth of Dragon Venus? Is this what this is? I'm really curious as far as the director, if that was the image that they were working with. Yeah. Because directors, they pull from images and go, I want it to look like this, and I'm like, that is Dragon of Venus.
Yeah, I've seen this before.
It is totally. Yeah. That is what that painting is right there.
So what's up with this? What's up with this? Jumping back from Khaleesi to the whore per se.
With the imp.
Yeah, and with the imp.
Okay,
how
let's
did
do
they?
that.
Yeah, they. Like,
They
what's her
hooked up.
importance? What's her importance?
I don't know what her importance is just yet. I think it is to make him feel like a man, to make him feel good, to make him feel safe, to have something. I don't know if the imp really values anything just yet, and he's starting to value her.
You think he actually is valuing her, or
I
you
think
think that
so.
it's more so he's trying to step out into his own. Like he's starting to realize that he's in a power position,
Yeah.
and that he's needed, and now he says, you know what, I'm going to exercise some of my powers.
I agree with you. I think it's part of that. I think
Yeah.
that's some of it. But I also think that, in order to hurt somebody in this Game of Thrones, they have to have something that they value.
Yeah.
And he's kind of been like
roaming. He didn't care about anybody.
He's been roaming this whole entire up until like episode 9 or 10. He's been roaming, and now I think what they're doing with this is building him something that he values.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way to hurt him, because right now, I mean,
nothing can hurt him.
No.
I mean, he could lose his family and he still be okay. He can lose John and he still be okay.
he was like hanging out
He's just hanging.
at the Vale Castle over there, like out by a cliff.
Yeah.
In this weird cliff dungeon thing that was actually quite beautiful. And he was still
Yeah,
like,
he was one of those things where he got himself out of it.
Yeah. So I mean, I just think he needs to have something to lose.
And we do know. Well, he needs something to betray him as well.
Yeah.
That's something, because it's the Game of Thrones, so somebody's gonna play a hand. And then we did see that she was talking to some old guy that, when she was changing. Remember, we were like, "Who is that?" And we thought it was Sansa. And she's like talking to this guy. And then all of a sudden, that wasn't her.
That's the redheaded whore. Do you remember the redheaded whore that lived up north that was with Greyjoy?
Yeah, I got you. So what is that? But what is that guy?
With that
what is
weird
that guy?
old guy
What's
that
going
was
on
like,
with that?
he is gaming for something. I do not know who he is. I'm excited to find out who. So if anybody knows, they're welcome to call in and tell us.
Please tell us.
But he is gaming for something.
Absolutely. He walked around like he was just talking and talking like he was blind or whatever. And she's taking her clothes, or she's naked and she's wiping herself in front of him, and he's talking like we thought he was blind.
Yeah.
And then when she leaves, he does some calisthenics, shaking his arms, and he gets down, and then he goes and he puts his clothes on. He's looking dead into a mirror. And he's looking at himself, so we know he's not blind.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, he's not blind. And he's looking in the mirror and he's checking his clothes, and he's okay, I'm good. And then as soon as he gets to the door, he checks himself like this, and then he goes into his old man, hunches over and goes. So something gives. I don't know what the connection is. I don't know what that is.
Considering that Littlefinger owns the brothels, I guess it's really smart to get the prostitutes to believe that you're old and feeble and that you could do no harm, because they're he's the one that runs like the gossip realm and has all the information.
Who, Littlefinger, or are you talking
Littlefinger? Yeah. But so it's.
But that wasn't Littlefinger. That wasn't Littlefinger.
No. But what I'm saying is, like, Littlefinger has the ear of the queen, and like kind of has dibs on everybody, everybody but this old man. Yeah. Because like, I'm sure the prostitutes report back to him that he's just a crazy old dude. Yeah. So he doesn't see him as a threat. And so I think that they're just saying, here's a threat. It's planted, and nobody has its finger on it. Yeah. Nobody at all.
Yeah, they think he's just a blind old man, and he's really not.
He's not. Should we go to predictions?
Absolutely.
I'm the predictions music.
There we go.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
What do you say? I'm so excited for the second season.
Absolutely.
I think Khaleesi's army is going to build. It's going to get stronger. She's going to cross the sea with her dragons, and really take over. That's my prediction.
I mean, who's going to stop dragons? They haven't seen them in over thousands and thousands of years. the plot has definitely thickened. So I agree with you. So the plot's gonna thicken. But my prediction is that, like I said, I already said one with Arya. I feel like she's not gonna connect with her family until she gets older. When she's she's a warrior and she comes back. I think Sansa's going to she's gonna harbor this. I believe she's gonna get the opportunity to kill Joffrey.
I hope
do.
so.
I believe she's going to be the one that's going to get that opportunity.
I hope so. I hope she gets to kill Joffrey, and then I hope she gets to kill Lady Stark's sister's son, because that little kid annoys the heck out of me.
Yeah. I do believe. I believe that she's going to get those opportunities, especially with Joffrey. She's going to get that opportunity. I mean, she has to. Right? She has to. It's going to, they're going to see a White Walker, because Jon and them, they went out. Went out to the wilderness, and they're gonna see wildlings and stuff like that. They're gonna get to the bottom of who killed or if he's dead at all.
I hope he's alive.
Yeah, I hope he's alive. I think he is. I think he is. That he's alive. But that's the thing. They're gonna see White Walkers, because they said they were like white and they got light eyes or whatever. So they're gonna see that. I've seen those a lot of times.
Yeah, the White Walkers.
Yeah, they walk around. They got blonde hair.
You're funny.
I'm from Nebraska. What can I say? There's a lot of blonde hair, blue-eyed people.
Blue-eyed people.
I was like, but that was the thing that crossed my mind. I was like, wait a minute. Oh, White Walkers, I didn't know.
Well, albinos, they kind of
exactly.
look like
Albinos, they sure do.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's it. Thank you so much. We'll see you in spring of 2020. Thanks so much for listening.
From producers Kevin Undergaro and Phil Svitek, engineer DJ Jesse Janity, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. If you have questions or comments, be sure to buzz us at info@AfterBuzzTV.com. And you can find us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.